Hi everyone, welcome to another Learn on the Go. Most of you, and that includes me, we have a decent amount of our corpus in mutual funds. And as I explained in an earlier video, it's the fund manager who's basically the karta dharta of our investing fortunes. That said, in this video, I'll be taking you through some simple yet effective techniques that help us understand if the fund manager really is a skilled allocator of our capital, or are the returns he or she delivers is nothing but dumb luck. If you're into mutual funds, I'm sure you'll find many parts of this video very useful. By the way, this is episode 23 and I hope you like it. Okay, so why does a manager selection process matter? I'm sure you've come across those SPIVA reports which look to answer a single question, that is, do active fund managers actually beat their benchmarks over time? Now, believe me, it's a very clever report. I say clever because it hides a lot of things which you and I will not find acceptable. For example, the benchmarks this SPIVA report uses is not an apples to apples comparison. Like when it's comparing large caps, their methodology uses the large mid cap index, which is a different benchmark, and I really don't know why. Similarly, the report talks of a mid small cap category, but uses the small cap index as its benchmark. Another observation, which I think is an important one, is that the SPIVA report is comparing the active fund's performance, which includes the fees and the expense ratio, with an index. And because you really can't invest in an index, this is not really a fair fight. Instead, had the SPIVA report compared these active funds with, let's say, an index fund and applied the 0.2, 0.3, sometimes 0.5% expense ratio, fir kuch baat banti. Anyways, we have to get our analysis right. And I think this table here is a better and a more authentic representation of things. I've mapped the trailing 3-year performance of actively managed large cap funds, all 31 of them. And against these, a standard Nifty 50 index fund has delivered a CAGR of just 14.3%, which means 80% of the active large cap funds have done better than the index. It's the same on a 5-year basis, with the average Nifty 50 index fund ranked at 22 in a pool of 29 schemes, and on a 10-year basis, it's at 19 out of 26 schemes. You can do the same exercise for mid caps, small caps, multi caps, etc. Just download what you need in an Excel sheet. It's all there on moneycontrol.com. That said, I'm not endorsing active mutual funds, neither index funds. Personally, I truly believe there's a place for both types of funds in one's portfolio. And if you haven't watched it, please do go through this webinar from December last year, where I featured some of the more important frameworks and systems that I've come across or have built for myself. And I'm also implementing these in my own investing. All right, let's come to the main event. How to determine if a fund's success, its performance, is based on the fund manager's skill or not. Understandably, there's no single way of verifying the presence of such skill, and therefore we'll have to look at it from multiple angles, both quantitative and qualitative. I also didn't want this to be a research grade video with statistics and complicated formulas, so I've kept those out, and hopefully this turns out to be something that normal investors like you and me can easily apply. Okay, let's start with the first technique, which is to examine the fund's long-term consistency across market cycles. It's a very logical thing to do. वो कौन सा quotation है? A rising tide lifts all boats. मतलब जब समय अच्छा होता है, तब सबकी किस्मत चमकती है. And what do we check here? It's obviously return, but not trailing returns. Instead, we'll check for rolling returns. If this term is new to you, I'll request you to understand this further on ChatGPT or some AI model. Make sure your prompt also asks for an example, as the concept is a lot easier to understand that way. Okay, let's now go on to the practical implementation. For this, I'll be using the Power Up Money app. I use it all the time. So I'm on the mutual fund page. And let's click on select now. As you can see here, we have different categories of equity funds right at the top. We'll stick to large caps. And here's a list of funds. Let's start from the top. So we have Nippon India, White Oak Capital, ICICI Prudential, Kotak Large Cap Fund. So the app also tells me that Kotak Large Cap is something which I have in my portfolio, SBI Large Cap, and so on. Okay, we then have the elite scores, which is a combination of consistency, volatility, and recency. I think it's a part of the elite subscription, which is definitely worth having. There's a lot of stuff inside it, including ranking, there are trends, there is rebalancing. Allocation is about to come up. I think it's due next month. And the best part is that it's not expensive at all. It's 999 rupees plus GST, and this is for the entire year. So to have a look at it, it's definitely worth it. At least I find it very useful. Okay, I'm swiping towards the right, and here we have rolling returns. So this is what we are really interested in. Let me start off by sorting on the basis of the 5-year returns. Okay, so the usual suspects are all there. There is Nippon India, ICICI Prudential, Canara Robeco, Kotak, Edelweiss. I think most of these guys are also pretty old, aged. These are direct funds, so I think it should be 13 years. Yeah, most of them, see, except for that Mahindra Manulife, most of the other funds which are in the top category, they're all 13 years. And yeah, from the looks of it, in terms of the rolling return, it seems most of them have actually been able to navigate the different market cycles pretty well and have a decent rolling return to offer. It's 19, 18, 17% for the top 10 odd funds, which is quite a decent number to have. Just to be double sure, I tried this rolling return analysis with the index, the Nifty 50, which came to a 3-year average of 13.5% and a 5-year average of 14%, which means for the top large cap funds that we saw in the Power Up Money app, their performance is generally attributable to their fund managers' efforts. In a nutshell, any scheme that has beaten the benchmark in most rolling windows is indicative of the fund manager's skill, and it's definitely not luck. The ulta version of this is that if a fund has had 1 or 2 standout years but has been mediocre otherwise, then it's purely luck. And it's also the reason why rolling return analysis is given more weightage than looking at trading returns. A second technique one can employ is to look at benchmark relative returns, in the sense that which are those funds that have consistently outperformed their benchmark by 2 to 3%. As an example, let's try small caps this time, the Nifty Small Cap 250 Index, and here's what this index has delivered every year since 2018. As expected, there were some bull periods like in 2021 and 23, and also a few lull periods like 2018, 19, 22, and of course last year. So here's what I did. I picked some of the popular small cap schemes that have been there for long. I then populated their yearly performance direct plans, and now let's compare them with the benchmark. For example, DSP small cap, back in the day, I remember this was called DSP micro cap. So this scheme has had 5 years of outperformance. That is, it delivered returns higher than the benchmark. And for 3 years, it underperformed the Nifty small cap 250. It's the same with Tata small cap, 5:3. The ICICI Prudential Small Cap Fund is even Stevens, so 4 years of outperformance and 4 under. Same is the case with HDFC, 4 all. But then we have the Nippon India Small Cap Fund. It's a scheme that has beaten the benchmark in 7 of the last 8 years, with the year 2024 being a small exception. I say small because the scheme was just 1.9% below the benchmark, but in all other years, it managed to beat it. Should we call this skill or is it luck? I'll leave it to you to decide. But just FYI, this small cap scheme from Nippon India was above the benchmark in not only those 7 years, but in the 3 years prior to that as well, making it 10 out of 11 for them. My point is, consistently beating the benchmark is another excellent way of understanding if your fund manager is skillful or not. A third observation, and something I'll suggest every mutual fund investor to do, is to check out the tenure of the fund manager running the scheme. Let's try this one. HDFC Flexi Cap. It's one of the biggest funds in its category. I think after Parag Parikh FlexiCap, I think this is number 2 in terms of assets under management. And see this, it's ranked 1. It's been in form for quite some time. Yeah, in the last 2 years, it's been absolutely in form. Rolling returns, so we had discussed that earlier. So it's done 7% more than category on a 3-year rolling return basis, which is really good. Let's go further. Yeah, everything's nice. See the AUM, it's 96,000 crores. It's about to cross the 1 lakh crore mark. But what I'm really interested in is right at the bottom, fund managers. And see this. So I think Mr. Muchal is a junior fund manager. The top dog is, of course, Amit Ganatra, who was appointed very recently, just this month. And he comes from Invesco India, where he was the head of equities. So he's essentially taken over from Roshi Jain, who exited in November last year, who in turn took over from Mr. Prashant Jain, who managed this fund from 1995 until 2022. This means until 2022, the HDFC FlexiCap fund was managed in a particular style, which was predominantly value. Then, when Roshi Jain ran this fund, it was largely bottom up stock picking with a fairly concentrated portfolio. But now, with Mr. Ganatra managing this fund, it will be his investing style at play. And therefore, one has to monitor the performance and holdings more carefully now to see if it aligns with your preferences. Believe me, the single check on a fund manager's tenure can help you eliminate a number of false winners, making a clear distinction between skill and riding on someone else's legacy. The fourth strategy is downside protection, and it connects with what I said earlier, a rising tide lifts all boats, meaning while luck would shine in bull markets, it's the skill that keeps things from breaking in a bearish phase. So in a way, this is a variation to what we did earlier, as in instead of observing all years, we want to now focus only on the bearish periods and compare the index with the schemes in only that difficult period. For example, and although the Nifty 50 hasn't seen too many negative years, 2018, 22, 24, and even last year, 2025, these were below the Nifty 50's long-term average. So let's examine those bearish years. Okay, so there's no outright winner here, with every scheme underperforming the benchmark in at least 2 out of 4 occasions. But if one examines deeply, ICICI Prudential large cap seems to have just slightly missed the mark in 2025, and it has delivered a decent alpha in 2022 and 24. An almost similar situation is seen with Nippon India, where it outperformed the Nifty 50 index by 8% in these 2 years, with a downside of only 2.3% last year. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way of doing things. In fact, there are some variations to downside protection as well. For example, and I'm sure you know this, Parag Parikh FlexiCap, the fund managers there have kept a decent amount of money in cash, somewhere around 20%, which definitely offers a cushion when things are going south. But this can work the other way as well, and we saw a glimpse of that earlier this month when the Nifty 500 jumped by over 2.5%, but the Parag Parikh FlexiCap's NAV grew by only half of that number. My point is, it is important and always better to look at things from multiple angles, a combination of things, and believe me, it doesn't take much time to compile all this data if you know what you are doing. Okay, I'll be quick now. The fifth way to differentiate skill versus luck is to link it with the AUM, the assets under management. Let me start from the top. So something you would have heard, at least I hear all the time, is that as the AUM increases, the performance of the fund goes down. Not that it goes down, but it comes closer to benchmark returns. Now, if that's the case, then it becomes a useful metric to explore in the sense that if the fund's performance holds even when the AUM is going up, then much of it should be attributable to the skill of the manager rather than luck. You can definitely try this out on some of the bigger funds, Parag Parikh FlexiCap, HDFC FlexiCap, ICICI Pru Large Cap, Nippon India Small Cap, etc. Let's do another technique. This one's a bit qualitative and is based on a few scheme characteristics. For instance, the top 10 holdings of a scheme can give you a strong idea on whether the fund manager is actually doing some stock picking, that is, applying his or her skills, or are they simply doing closet indexing? If you're coming across this word for the first time, closet indexing is when an actively managed mutual fund claims to pick stocks actively, but in reality, its portfolio looks very similar to its benchmark index. For example, this here represents the Nifty 50's top 10 holdings, and these are the top 10 holdings of the Canara Robeco FlexiCap Fund. As one sees here, there's a lot of overlap in terms of stocks. In fact, 8 out of the Nifty's top 10 are here. And in sharp contrast is another FlexiCap. This one's by Motilal Oswal, which has a lot less overlap. Another fun characteristic is the level of conviction. And of special mention are the schemes managed by Motilal Oswal AMC, where every fund of theirs have between 25 and 35 holdings in them. This shows a high amount of conviction and again something that can be aligned to the fund manager's skill rather than luck. And lastly, there's the style of investing. So if someone's doing contrarian investing, value investing, then believe you me, getting results from there is often a function of skill rather than luck. The point I want to make here is that certain characteristics like a well-defined and repeatable stock picking process, consistency in strategy and action, high levels of conviction, and strong risk management strategies are traits we often look for. And when combined with on-ground performance, this can give us a fair idea of how skillful a fund manager really is. All right, so we've covered quite a bit here. I'm sure everyone understands identifying something as subjective as skill isn't easy. So this is definitely an attempt at this, and I'm sure over time this process will evolve as well. A simple way of applying this is the scorecard method, with a point being offered for every condition met. These are 8 boxes. So let's say if a fund or a fund manager gets 5 or more points, then there's more skill at play than luck. More so, I think the slide very nicely summarizes the techniques as well. And personally, I find this science plus art kind of an assessment a lot more relevant, structured, and effective than using something like a Sharpe ratio, Jensen's alpha, Treno's ratio, etc. Not that these aren't relevant, but I find this better, and just to doubly sure, I find myself going back to the Power Up Money app to verify the rankings, rolling returns, and some other useful tools that the company has built up there. I'm not sure if I said it. Power Up Money, the app is absolutely free to use. It's been made like a mutual fund advisory platform, so it's purely research. And if you're already using it, do explore subscribing to the elite feature. It's just 999 rupees plus GST for the entire year, and I'm sure you'll find it very helpful. That said, I hope today's video was helpful, informative, and actionable. Selecting the right fund manager is nothing short of finding the next multi-bagger. And if you can get the right one, someone who can give you 3, 4, 5% more than benchmark, then it's an Alice in Wonderland situation. That said, thank you for your time. I wish you the very best. Have a pleasant day ahead, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.